Okay, this is the final installment of the most in-depth video on the new home construction process. Today's video will take you from drywall to a completed home. When you're done watching this video, you'll know things about the new home construction process that many construction managers don't. Be sure to watch to the end because I'm going to make a recommendation to ensure the builder delivers your home better than any of the other homes in the neighborhood. Okay, let's finish things off. So now that the house has passed the four-way inspection, work can resume. Often, you'll have one group working on the inside and at the same time, others working on the exterior. And many of these steps are interchangeable, but for the most part, this video will be chronological. Step number 25, the sheetrock, AKA the drywall, is delivered. The number and size of drywall sections will be ordered specifically for each house to minimize the number of seams that the sheetrock will have throughout the home. The sections of drywall can be up to 16 feet long and they are heavy. For two-story homes, they'll often pop out or open a window upstairs and use a crane to deliver the planks needed to complete the second floor. The remaining sheets are often left in the garage or in sporadic locations on the main floor. Usually, the mud and tape are delivered at the same time and left in a giant pile in one of the front rooms, like you see right here. Because sheetrock is so easily damaged, it comes in pairs with the sides that'll be facing outwards pressed together. I want to give you a close-up. When you peel this paper off right here, it reveals the two sides are pressed together. This brown edge right here will be stuck against the studs, and then this gray interior side, this is what's protected, that's going to face outwards into the room. There are basically two types of sheetrock. Most of the home will be hung with these gray planks that you see right here behind me, but they'll use a special sheetrock for the wet areas such as the bathrooms. These planks are made out of the same material, but they have a heavier coating of paper that's protected by wax for water resistance. It's often called green or blue board, but it comes in various colors. You'll notice that there's a sheen on this, and I'll turn the camera around to give you a close-up. Sheetrock is usually secured to the wall with screws, like you see here. If you look really closely, you'll see that there's damage, and you'll notice that it's not super snug up there in that little crack right there. Sheetrock does not need to be snug, and I'll show you why in just a minute. The sheetrockers will also cut out around all the electrical outlets, vents, and lighting fixtures like you see right here. Hanging sheetrock usually takes 2 to 5 days, depending on the size of the house and the number of tradesmen assigned to that project. When it comes to hanging the drywall, there's always a lot of waste. Step number 26, mud, tape, and texture. Now that the drywall is hung, tape and joint compound, often called mud, will be used to cover the seams. Taking a closer look, you can see that the tape is a roll of thick paper which they'll use to cover the locations where the sheetrock comes together. The joint compound will be pushed into the cracks during this process. The mud also moistens the tape for good adhesion. Now when it comes to any of your corners, like you see here, hopefully you can see that, that is a rounded corner. You usually have the option to do round or square corners. Your square pieces can look kind of like this, right? And instead of the round one here, you'd have the square one. And they're gonna put the screws through these little holes here to hold that in place. Now, on your windows, they're always gonna use the square ones to give it that clean edge. So here's a close-up of the window to show you that squared edge. So you can see, if you look right here, the joint compound is used to smooth everything out. The mudding and taping process reinforces the joints and conceals the screws. To reach a higher location in the room, a brave worker will put on some stilts, and some trades will use a bazooka. This gun releases mud and tape at the same time, drastically increasing the speed at which the taping can be completed. After seeing how much quicker this is, I'm not sure why they don't all use bazookas. Or instead of using stilts, they can always use something like this that you see here behind me. Here's a view of a fully sheetrocked home. Now, the dark, thick lines that you see is where the tape is, and if you come in close, these really thin ones, that's covering the screw heads. Once the home has been completely mudded and taped, and the joint compound has dried, they'll come back and sand everything down. Skilled tradesmen will leave a thin coat of mud to lessen the amount of sanding needed to smooth things out. When done correctly, you won't be able to see the seams or screws, and the walls will be as smooth as butter. The final step is to texture the walls and the ceilings. This will give everything a nice finish. In many locations throughout the United States, they'll also hang sheetrock in the garage as fire coat. It will only receive a basic mud and tape job and will not be sanded or painted. Usually at this point, work has begun on the exterior, so let's go check it out. Step number 27, the driveway is poured. This can be done anytime, but it often falls within this time frame. They framed in this one, it's ready to go for the concrete. And then looking next door, you can see one that's just been completed. Okay, so putting the drone up in the air to give you a top view of the concrete being poured, you can see that the cement truck has just finished dumping its load, and you see the gentleman on the left and the right smoothing it out to make it look nice. Okay, so looking here, you can see that they have finished the driveway and smoothed it out. And panning this direction, you can see that they've also finished the steps leading up to the front porch. Okay guys, once again, I'm risking my life to get you up close and personal with the new home construction process. If you look behind me here, we're talking about step number 28, the soffit and the fascia. It protects the exposed studs or rafters from the elements, increasing the life of the materials and reducing the chance of mold. This also gives the home a nice finished look. Step number 29, stucco or siding, sometimes both, are installed. They start by placing scaffolding around the perimeter of the home. Next, they'll wrap the entire house with a weather barrier. The windows and doors will already have a barrier, which was placed when they were installed. This paper-like sheathing is the primary defense against water penetration. Next, they'll attach mesh, wire, or something else to create a small gap between the weather barrier and the siding, which allows water to drain and for the home to air out. Now, they can install the siding or stucco. Siding is installed similar to shingles. They'll start at the bottom and work their way up. Older homes will often have wood or plastic siding, but today, it's more common for them to have a much more durable cement fiberboard like they've installed on this house here. Stucco is also a cement product. They'll start by applying what they call a scratch coat. The first layer is just thick enough to cover the wire grid. They'll often use a notched trowel, creating channels so the next coat will easily bond to it. Then, 48 hours later, they'll apply what they call a brown coat. This will have a smoother finished look and needs 7 days to cure. Notice I did not say dry. Stucco needs to stay moist while it's curing. Then, the finish coat is applied. This final layer comes in many colors, so hopefully you don't have to paint. You cannot install stucco if the weather is above 90 degrees or falls below 40. This is why in the winter, you might see a tented house with heaters cranking to keep the temperatures in the right range. Step number 30, brick or stone will be installed. This frequently happens before stucco and often much later. But to keep things chronological, what's happening on the exterior, I'm just gonna mention it now. Okay, let's head back inside. Step number 31, baseboards, door casing, shelving, and etc. is installed. They call this the finish work. They'll hang the doors along with the door frames. Then the interior doors will be removed and placed in the basement or the garage. Why? Because the door frame needs to be in place when they're hanging the trim and the doors just get in the way. Removing the doors also makes it easier to paint. At this stage, the finish workers will install baseboards along the floor and casing around the doorways. They call this base and case. Many builders will include a windowsill like you see here because it looks nice and it's a lot tougher than the drywall. The railing for the staircase and the handrail is installed as well, though many builders will wait until after the home is painted to hang the handrail. Wooden fireplace mantles are installed along with mudroom benches and any wood shelving in places like the laundry room, mudroom, kitchen pantry, and closets. If the home comes with metal or wire shelving, that will be installed after the home has been painted. Step number 32, caulking and paint. Now that the trim and shelving has been installed, it's time to caulk. They use a latex caulk because it can be painted and it's good for filling gaps and giving the home a clean look once it has been painted. This shelf here shows an example of what it looks like after it has been caulked. Then looking here at this windowsill, you can see that's been caulked as well, fills in all the gaps and smooths out all the cracks. When the caulking has been completed, the painters will fix plastic over the windows and tape off anything else that shouldn't get painted. Then they'll stand up the doors in locations where they won't get in the way. This is often the garage or the basement, but sometimes just lean up against a wall. They'll also lay out anything else not attached to the home that needs to be painted. This would be things like the stair rail. Okay, now that everything is taped off or covered in plastic, we're ready to paint. You do not want to be in the house at this time, as paint fumes will fill the air, making it hard to breathe. It reminds me of the time I went to a Tom Petty concert, except it wasn't paint fumes, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, they'll use a spray gun to paint the entire house, often starting with the primer and then coming back the next day to add a second coat. This second coat of paint will be the colors that you selected. Painting can take 3 to 7 days depending on the size of the house, or if you've chosen to go with 1-tone, 2-tone, or 3-tone paint. Okay, so this house has had the base coat or the primer done, and then if you look really closely down here at the baseboards, they've been painted. Can you see that they are a little bit whiter? So that means next they'll come in and tape off this trim and then paint the house the color that this particular buyer has selected. Now I should mention that you're likely to see painting mistakes like overspray after the painters are gone. Don't worry about it. The painters will come back and touch everything up as the home nears completion. When they're done painting, all these doors here will be reinstalled. Step number 33, decks and final concrete. Outside, concrete is poured for the walkways, patios, and the small section in front of the driveway. A deck or steps will also be built in the rear of the home, depending on the slope of the lot and what the plans call for. So you can see on this house, the rear decking is being installed. They've poured the rear pad here, and they've poured the stairs going down to a separate basement entrance, which they've covered while they finish the exterior of this home. This includes the required patch of concrete here that's poured outside of this garage door exit. Often, they'll need to bring a curb cutter and remove the section of curbing where the driveway entrance will be located. Step number 34, the large aluminum garage doors are installed. This includes the garage door opener, or openers, if there are 2 of them. Step number 35, wood or tile floors like you see here in this bathroom are placed. These types of floorings are placed before cabinets to give it the cleanest look, and it's easier to install or replace appliances. Wood and tile flooring should also outlive the cabinets, making it easier to replace the cabinets in the future. Step number 36, cabinets are installed in the bathrooms, the kitchen, and sometimes the laundry room. This is a big deal because cabinets are notorious for causing delays. Why? Because cabinets need to be built to fit each unique or individual home. This means cabinets need to be ordered months in advance if there's any hope for them to be completed on time. Be prepared for possible delays at this stage. Once cabinets have been installed, many builders, knowing that there shouldn't be any more major delays moving forward, they'll give you a closing date. 45 days seems to be a popular choice. Step number 37, laminate and/or vinyl floors are installed, not to be confused with step number 35. These flooring types are done after cabinets are installed because number 1, cabinets outlive these flooring types. It would be tough and expensive to replace flooring if you also had to remove cabinets. Number 2, laminate is what they call a floating floor, which means it expands and contracts for different reasons. Placing cabinets on this type of flooring could cause it to warp or bubble. Laminate also snaps together. It would be difficult to replace planks that were installed under the cabinets. Step number 38, outside, the final grading is completed on the home site to ensure proper drainage away from the home and to prepare the ground for landscaping. The soil immediately around the foundation will continue to settle for several years, so it's normal that the builder will pile additional dirt around the perimeter of the house. The sprinkler system has already been installed on this house. Now they'll bury those long tubes you see there and install drip lines. At this point, most major tasks have been completed. Similar to the 4-way, several different trades will end up in the house at the same time. Once again, much of this work doesn't need to be completed in any specific order. The sequence of the projects to be finished generally goes as follows, and it can all happen quick. Hold on to your hard hats, I'll be moving fast. Step number 39, the final electrical will be completed. The electricians will place the outlet and light switch covers, add final trim to can lights, hang fans, lighting fixtures, and etc. Low voltage will also be completed. This includes your doorbell. They'll also confirm the electrical is working properly throughout the house. Step number 40, final HVAC will be completed. Vent covers will be placed over the openings on the floor and screwed into the ceilings. Air return grills will also be installed along with the thermostat or thermostats if there are two separate units. Step number 41, final plumbing will be completed. Toilets, sinks, and plumbing fixtures will be installed. This includes shower heads, handles, faucets, and drain plugs. The garbage disposal is also installed under the kitchen sink. And if you ordered a water softener, it will be placed as well. Step number 42, knobs or pulls for cabinets are installed if you ordered them. Step number 43, the carpet is installed. This is done so late in the process because a lot of people come in and out of the house, especially right at the end. Many of those who enter the home are dirty and they forget to take their shoes off. Carpets get stained a lot more than you'd like to think. And the stains are often hard to remove. Things like paint, oil, tar, or some mysterious sludge dragged in on the bottom of someone else's shoe. Step number 44, bathroom mirrors and shower doors are installed. Step number 45, appliances are installed. Most builders include a stove, a microwave, and a dishwasher with the home. But if you've added a refrigerator, a washer, or a dryer, they will also be installed at this time. I recommend that you add all appliances with the builder instead of buying them on your own for several reasons. Yes, you'll likely pay more, but not only will the builder place the items for you, but they'll also hook up any water lines and repair any damage that was caused in the installation process. Because many of these items are heavy and bulky, you could end up dinging walls or scratching floors by installing them on your own. Step number 46, landscaping. The sprinkler system with the drip lines will be installed. Then the trees and shrubs will be planted. Often a weed barrier is spread before the bark or other decorative ground cover is spread in the flower beds. Sod is installed last and the sprinkler system is tested to ensure proper coverage. Now everything is done. Well, almost. Usually there are random tasks still to be completed due to damage or mistakes in product orders. And then of course there are always dents and dings in the walls that need patchwork or paint touch-ups. This final part of the process is handled differently by each builder. So I'm gonna give you the steps as they should be completed. This is the system that most good builders have adopted. Step number 47, a quality walk will be performed by a representative of the builder. This is usually a construction manager. They'll create a punch list of items that still need to be completed. Common items are missing window screens, caulking, a broken window, missing or broken cabinet doors or drawers, lighting or plumbing fixtures, and things of this nature. Usually, the builder's representative will use blue tape to mark locations where there are dings in the walls that need to be repaired or where paint touch-up is needed. Most builders will also do a basic cleaning. Step number 48, a final inspection by a city building code official. If the house fails any part of the inspection, a follow-up inspection will be scheduled, and usually it's just the next day to confirm everything has been corrected. Just like the four-way, it's fairly common for builders to fail the first inspection. It's not a big deal. When passed, the city inspector will issue a certificate of occupancy, also known as a C of O. This means you can now move into the house, but most builders will have you wait a few more days for final repairs and touch-ups to be completed. And this leads us to step 49, the homeowner orientation or final walkthrough for the buyer. A builder's representative will give you a tour of the property and explain how to operate the various systems and components of the home. This is things like the thermostat, the electrical panel, the main water shutoff valve, as well as the individual shutoff valves throughout the house and things of this nature. They'll also describe what's covered in the home warranty and how to submit a warranty request. And they'll give you a brief explanation of your responsibilities for maintenance and upkeep of the home. Most builders will also allow you to walk through the home with blue tape to mark any damage or paint touch-ups that they may have missed. Just so you know, the builders might not fix every little thing that you find. When the builder has completed everything on the punch list, they'll schedule a final deep cleaning. Step number 50, the house is finally finished and you're clear to close. Before you can go to the title company, a lot of builders will let you walk through the home to confirm the items on the punch list have been completed. Then you'll sign the final closing documents and send your funds to the builder. When the home funds and records with the city, you receive keys to your brand new home. Congratulations. As promised, here's my recommendation to make sure the home is delivered as beautiful as possible. One of the most important stages of the home build process is the homeowner orientation. This is your last chance to ask the builder to repair or replace things. Do not go into this appointment blind. You need to watch the new home final walkthrough where I go in depth to explain what you should look for and what to expect. That video will ensure you have a smoother closing and that the builder does not take advantage of you. If you're looking to buy, sell, build a home, or invest in Utah real estate, I get contacted all the time. Please feel free to call or text me with your questions. I'd love to meet you and I'm honored to serve you. For everyone else, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. I always do my best to respond to each one of you. If you have friends or a family member looking to build a home, you can easily text this video to them. And please, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and ring the bell to be notified each time I post new videos. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Ty the Real Estate Guy. If you found this information helpful, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to ring that little bell below. It'll make you feel good.